Welcome to One Little Spice, the Disney food podcast that isn't afraid to send you into the taste lab.
Welcome to One Little Spice. We have an extra special episode this week. We are joined by Pimenta from the Disney BR podcast, which is all the way in Brazil. It's really awesome to have some Disney representation in other countries, and it's always nice to get a different perspective about the parks as well. So welcome, Lou, to One Little Spice.
Thank you, girls. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for being a part of our podcast. So we thought it would be really awesome to do a few segments with some podcasts from outside the country, as well as some other ones in the area, just as a little extra spice, if you will, for our podcast in between our episodes where we are talking about the food. You know, we thought it might be nice to invite some other guests in and hear what they have to say about Disney as well.
It's good. Am I the first one?
You are the first one.
So as you were saying, you wanted to add another extra spice. You know, my last name, Pimenta, means pepper.
Yes,
I'm spicing it up.
That makes sense. Excellent. So we're adding some spicy spice this week.
It's good.
All right. So let's start with your Disney history, and we want to know what your Disney story is. So how were you introduced to Disney?
So when I was a kid, I grew up watching Disney cartoons, like every kid. And here in Brazil, especially the girls, when we turn 15, we have like a big party. And I really wanted the big party, but my parents wouldn't give me one. They said, no, we can't give you a party. It was cheaper to go to a long trip, than to make the party I wanted. Can you imagine the party? Anyway, I didn't get the party, and they sent me to Disney with some friends. And you know what? When I look back, I guess I was part of those Brazilian groups at that time. Anyway, that was in 1995, a long time ago. And I didn't really want to go. I just went because that was what I got. And it was fun, but I don't really have like lots of memories of this trip. And then I came back and finished high school, college, and then I had my daughter when I was 27 already, like almost 15 years later. And when she was born, I knew I had to take her because it's different to go with a kid. It's really different. So when she was born, I started planning, and then she was 4 or 5, and then we went for our first time. But I guess I was researching for this trip like 1 year before. And it took me a long time for researching, and that's when I started like my love for Disney, and that's when I knew I had to go back like forever.
Yeah, there's definitely some extra magic when you bring a kid in because you get to see their reactions to everything, and it's really awesome being able to bring that magic to them, and it definitely makes it extra special.
It does, but it is last February was the first time I went without her, and it was, I don't know, I'm not gonna say it was better because she's right here by my side, but it was really, really nice as well. So the both ways are good.
Yeah, and then sorry.
I was just gonna say Disney as an adult without kids versus Disney as an adult with kids are definitely two different trips.
They really are.
And then I think you sort of answered this second question, but how did it become a big part of your life?
So it became a big part when I started this research. I didn't really know there was so much to know before I go. So it was so much to know, so many restaurants, so many rides. I wanted to know all the rides, which one I was going to go, which one I wouldn't be able to go because of her. Like there was like a world to know. And then that's why I knew I just loved it. I loved the research and the trip. Like, you know, the research makes the trip last longer, I guess.
Yes, it does.
Oh, absolutely.
So I enjoyed every single part of it, and when I came back, I just started trip planning again and again, and that's my life since then.
Oh, I'm the same way. We hit our 180 days for dining reservations a few days ago. So even starting before that, you start planning, where do I want to make these reservations? Where are we going to eat? What days are we going to spend in each park? What
Then
dining
you
makes the most
have to
sense?
have a plan B if you don't get one reservation, and then a plan C because who knows, right?
Yep. This is the first trip where we have gotten every single reservation that we wanted at the exact time that we wanted it. It was
Oh, that's
magical.
great.
It's especially amazing because the other day I got a text at like 7:30 in the morning. Oh my goodness, Amy, we forgot this reservation. I think it was Spice Road Table,
Yep.
and it was just like it's 179 days or it's 170 days. It was like
Okay.
we have time to find one. Well, if they don't have it now, we'll keep watching.
And it turned out it was just that the app was having some issues with reservations. So I called
As usual.
reservation and all was well.
That's great.
I believe you answered this, but when was the first time you ever visited a Disney park? I think she answered
That was in
one already.
1995 for my 15th birthday. That's the one I don't really remember. I don't know. I guess I remember like going through the castle. I remember going at Epcot, like the ball, and I remember going to Pirates. That's all I can remember. I don't know if it's because I didn't really want to go. I was a little bit mad with my parents because I wanted to party.
And you said you didn't go with your parents. Who did you end
No.
up going with for that trip?
No, I went with some friends. I've never been there with my parents. And I went with friends. That's when I said I was in those famous groups. I don't really
tour
like those
groups.
groups now, but I was one of them maybe. I don't know. I don't remember, so I can't say if I was this one of the loudest girls, but that was in 1995. I was 15.
What do you love most about traveling to Disney?
So when we go from Brazil, it's about 10 days. 10 hours flying. So it's a
Wow.
really tiring trip. And then we have to have everything prepared. As I was saying you before we started recording, we always go for at least 10 days because it doesn't make sense for us to go for a weekend or I don't know, just maybe a week. That would be the least, the minimum of days because it wouldn't make sense to be less than that. So we have to prepare everything really careful. And here in Brazil, our money doesn't we need four of our currency to get $1. So everything is like it costs 4 times for us.
Wow.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's very expensive. So I don't know. For me, it takes about a year to prepare a trip to Disney, and like all these times, like the ADRs, the choosing the tickets, the days, the resorts, everything, it makes so special. So it's a trip that lasts 10 or 15 days, but it actually lasts a year because all of the planning and everything. And this is the most special thing for me because I can feel I'm always at Disney, even if I'm not there. That's the best trip for me. I don't see myself traveling to other places because it doesn't take so long. It's not that hard, like, I mean, in air quotes. But it always is another trip for another place. You just go and just come back and it's over. In Disney, no. You spend a lot of time planning and I love it.
And I hope that our podcast has helped you with some of your planning, at least for food.
It has. It has. I've made a lot of plans because of you. And the Haituna Nachos is the best one. I can say we're going to get there. But this is the one I was craving like forever. For the first time I heard you talking, I knew I had to try it.
Yes, they are excellent.
And now we do talk about everybody's favorite food memory in the Disney parks.
Mm-hmm.
But what is your absolute best memory ever in a Disney park?
You mean like in food?
Nope. Just
Nope.
overall best memory ever.
It was when I took my girl to the Bitty Popty boutique, and then we went to the Cinderella's Royal Table right after that. I have to tell you, it was in 2013, I guess. I don't remember the food, but I remember her. I remember her like turning into Cinderella, like wearing the dress, the shoes, and then going into the castle and feeling like she was her. Like she was talking to Cinderella, and this is the best memory I have. I don't know if it's my memory or hers, but it's the best one for me.
Yeah, that's awesome to be able to share that with her, and I'm sure that's definitely a memory that she's never going to forget either.
Yes.
That's right.
So, we are a food podcast, so we're obviously going to talk about food.
What is your favorite Disney snack?
That's a hard question. I like all of them, but I guess my favorite now, I'm gonna answer this like the favorite one today. So we can talk again tomorrow and the other day, and then it might change. But my favorite one today would be the cinnamon roll at the Gaston Tavern. I love
That
it.
is
I love
so
it.
good.
We don't have it here. Like we don't have cinnamon rolls. Maybe in I don't know. Maybe in some airports, like some international places, you can find it. But it's not a common food here. You don't get in the supermarket to make it at home. We don't have it. So it's good and it's big, and I love big foods. And there's a when I was sorry when I was there with my friends last February, I told her the first thing I told her is that I don't share food. So my food, it doesn't matter if it's big, it doesn't matter if it's shareable. It's my food. And the cinnamon roll was like the ones one of my friends asked for a piece of it, and I went and bought her another one. But that one was mine. Mine was mine. And I loved it. I loved it. It's great.
Excellent. I can understand that. Julie and I, we have to share a lot of food because otherwise we would be absolutely stuffed and couldn't eat and try as much of the food we do. But we have a handful of items that, no, I get mine and you get yours, and we do not share those items.
Yes, like oh my gosh, I can't even remember what it's called right now. Wow,
Well, the bacon
lamb chop.
and the bacon on a stick.
Yes, but the
The
lamb
can-
chop at the Australia Pavilion for food and wine.
Yeah, we
is
each
a-
have
is
to
a-
get
is
our
a
own.
no share meal.
What is the best meal you have ever had in Disney?
So this is the one I gained for you. It's absolutely the ahi tuna nachos. And I'm telling everyone they have to try it. And it's the best food ever. And I told my daughter, we're going to go next November. She's coming with me. And I told her she can choose everything and everywhere except yak and yeti, because that's mine. And I'm not going to share it. Although that was a funny experience, because when we arrived there last February, I hadn't tried it before. And when I arrived there in last February with my friends, they saw in the menu that it's shareable. And I said, "All right, we can see. Let us see the size of it, because I know it's shareable, but I don't think I'm gonna share." So they asked another interest for them, and I allowed her to try. They tried just a piece of it, and that was all. And it was all mine. And I don't know, I miss those flavor like every single day. I don't know what's so special about it. I can't figure out. I just need to have it again and again and again.
We feel the exact same way.
Yes, it is always something we have on our trips, and it's usually our first sort of like real food at the Disney park if we can make that happen that way.
It's so delicious, so delicious. We don't have a lot of like Mexican food here as well. It's not really common. We do have it, but it's not really common. But I feel that one, although it's called nachos, it has nothing like Mexican.
Yeah,
So
no.
very, very Asian.
So
flavors.
delicious.
Yes.
Now, I know this one might be really hard because I've made a list and there are over 400 of them. But what is your favorite Disney restaurant?
I'm gonna answer this one. Taking my last trip, I had never tried the Skipper Canteen and I tried this last trip, and I absolutely adored it. It was so yummy and so like the ambience is so cool. I loved it, and it was a restaurant that I used to see. There was always some spots available in my Disney experience. I don't think it's hard to get a reservation there, and
Yeah, I know
I
there's a
was.
lot of walk up there as well because I don't think people really understand how incredible it is.
Mhm. And you don't get to know how big it is when you look at it. Like it's hidden. If you don't look at it, you can't even see it. It's in the back of I don't know. I don't think I had seen it. And last trip I did the Magic Kingdom food tour. Is it
The
Taste
VIP
of
tour?
Magic Kingdom? Yes, the VIP tour. And we go through this restaurant and we get to talk to the chef, and he gives us some special treats to try. And I didn't have a reservation, but when I talked to him and then I see it inside, and then I managed to get a reservation for that same day, and I loved it. I loved it. I can't wait to go again and try another a different plate, a different dish. It was a really adorable surprise for me. I loved it there.
Yeah, our first trip to Skipper's Canteen, we actually had the whole fried fish,
Did you
and it was
like
a
it?
yes, and it was a lionfish, so it had the spikes and everything. So the presentation was really cool, and it was absolutely delicious as well.
Yes, I loved it. I had a seafood stew, I guess, with the coconut sauce. I loved it. I loved it. It was really, really nice.
And now we get to talk about you a little bit and your podcast because we
All
definitely
right.
want to hear about you. And I've tried to listen to a few episodes and it's really hard because I do not speak Portuguese, but I catch like every other word here and there. So tell us about your podcast. What's the outline? Do you have any special segments? Is there anything you focus on most? Like ours is obviously food, but
Mm.
what is your podcast all about?
I've always listened to a lot of podcasts, a lot of Disney podcasts, but they're all in English, pretty much all of them. And then I started to look for some podcasts in Portuguese, and I could not find any of it. I found one, and it talks about Orlando in general, not only Disney. And I don't really like the other parks. I have to tell you, I've been there, but it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't catch me. I don't want. I prefer to spend my money in Disney. That's the real thing. And then I decided to create my own podcast just to talk about Disney. I don't have like one outline, one special subject as yours, but I always do like a first part to talk about the news. It's my kind of Amy's daily dish, and then I have a guest. When I started, I thought about doing it by myself because I didn't want to like rely on anybody else to do it because I don't have a Disney wife as you. But I tried. I did one by myself, and it was so boring. I couldn't even hear it. And then I realized I had to have guests. So it's been a very nice surprise because I don't know. I don't think podcasts are very popular here in Brazil. We people here don't have they don't listen to podcasts. I think they're starting to listen to them now because like Spotify and everything, it's becoming easier for them to listen to. And then I started, and then I mean in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I had a lot of people asking me to participate, to be a guest.
That's
So
awesome.
I
That's
just do this
excellent.
little part in with the news, and then I have a guest and talk about like I don't know everything. We don't have I tend to have guests in special to talk about the things they know the most. So anything Disney, we talk about it.
Like us with food.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, I love it. And I think it's so great that you were able to start this and that you already have so many followers and so many listeners, and that you've basically created this community of podcast listeners right in Brazil for something that they didn't have. And you're basically starting this podcast rush down there.
Getting in on the ground floor, as they say.
So I think that's awesome.
It is really nice. It's I think it's the highlight of my week to do. As you were saying, it's a lot of work, Like it takes a lot of time, but it's very nice for me, and it's good for me to like take a break from my job and do something I really like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel exactly the same way. Now, you do travel to Disney from outside of the country. Do you have any advice for people who are traveling from other countries?
So as I was saying, like you have to plan the trip. You have to plan like everything. You have to plan where you're gonna go, what you're gonna do, what you're gonna eat. You have it's really for me. It's really important to do this planning because you can waste a lot of time if you don't do that. And to go from another country, it is a very expensive trip. I mean, from Brazil, just for tickets, we always like we pay about $700 the tickets, just the tickets. And it is very expensive. And if you don't plan, you get lost. Disney is too big. There's so many things to do, so many places to go, so many things that you can get lost, and you can like waste your time and your money. So the best tip I guess I can give is plan it. Take as long as it takes, but plan it.
Excellent. And speaking of getting lost, do you find it easy to communicate with the cast members? Do you find that they're very accommodating where English isn't your first language? You speak English very well, by the way. But do you
Excellent.
find it easy to communicate with the cast members, and do you find that they're very accommodating?
They are. I think they're. I don't know if there's any other place where cast members or any other employees are just like they are in Disney. There's no place like that. They are so. They try their best to do everything they can. And now I guess with all the international college programs, it's very easy to find cast members that speak Portuguese. It is very easy. My last trip I found one in pretty much everywhere.
That's
They
awesome.
they knew we were Brazilian because like we were speaking in Portuguese among ourselves, and we could see in their tag names. But even if we don't have a cast member that speak Portuguese, I feel like they will do everything. They will go above and beyond to try to make us feel comfortable and feel at home. I've never had any problems with cast members. I've always felt so very welcome there.
That's awesome to hear. And I don't know if you've heard, but Disney has been talking about adding a new pavilion to the World Showcase in Epcot. Would you like to see your country represented?
I don't know. That's a very hard question to answer because I don't think we Brazilians would behave very good. It is sad but true. You know, I was talking to you and I said I've been in one of these groups and I know how much everybody hates these groups like Brazilian and from Argentina too. I guess they're I've heard a lot of complaints about it. But I don't know. I really think there are so many other countries that are more different that could add more. Of course, I would like to see my country there because it is my country, but I don't think it's the best one to go. I really don't.
Well, if they did add a Brazilian pavilion, what foods would you want Disney to make sure were represented?
All right, so I took note of this, and I was actually talking to my daughter before we started.
I would like to add one thing before you talk about yours. I would love coxinha to be there because those are my
That's
absolute
one of
favorites.
the ones. That's one of mine. And I told her that I was gonna talk about this, and she said, "But how are you gonna say that?" I said, "I don't know. They probably know what it is." And there's another one. Like, do you know pastel? It's like a fried pastry. Have you heard of it?
I have
I've
heard of it. I have not tried it. I prefer the savory Brazilian treats.
Okay, so we're gonna have like the coxinha for appetizers.
And so coxinhas, for anybody who doesn't know what they are, they're like chicken meat dumplings. Sometimes they're filled with cheese, sometimes they're not, and then they're deep fried and breaded and magical.
They're delicious. They're delicious.
They're so good.
And then we're gonna have like for the main dish would be our barbecue. That's very different from yours. We just have meat. Pretty much. We don't have like sausages. We don't make a hamburger. We just have meat like picanha. Have you heard of it? It's a type of meat, like a really big beef. It is delicious. Like
I
with a
know
lot
that
of
I've been to the like Brazilian barbecues that they have where
Mhm.
they come around with the meat on a stick.
Yeah,
They slice it off for you and everything like that.
yeah. That's our barbecue. It's very common here. Like pretty much everybody does it like every weekend. It's very common, and it's just meat all the time, all the way. We don't need anything else, just meat, and I love it. And I guess this is one of the things I'm gonna miss when I move from Brazil. Our barbecue.
Well, if you come to visit me, like I said, we have plenty of Brazilian restaurants where I live, and I will take you to all the best ones.
All right, well, that's a plan. And also, we had pão de queijo. Have you had it? Like our cheese bread?
Yes. Oh my
I
goodness.
have had the cheese bread, yes.
And they've
Very
actually had
delicious.
those at the Brazilian booth for Food and Wine.
Mm-hmm. It's not really the same. I can say ours from here they're better than those ones I've tried. Those ones from Food and Wine, but
Yes.
it's almost there.
It's so people get an idea of what it is. They are
Yeah.
much better when they're authentic.
Yes, Disney
And
tends
then for desserts, I guess we're gonna have to have brigadeiro. Have you had it?
I have not, but I have heard of it, and I hear it's
Yeah,
amazing.
you have heard it. It's like a chocolate fudge, like a little ball, and we have this from chocolate, and we have another one that's called beijinho, which means like little kiss, and it's made from coconut, grated coconut.
Ooh, that sounds
Then-
magical. I know Amy
These are mine.
would love
I
to try that.
love coconut, so I would love those.
And these are very, very, very easy to make. I can make it for you when I go there.
Sounds perfect. And then, what non-food aspects of your country would you want to be represented in the pavilion?
I think the first thing everybody thinks about when we talk about Brazil is like the forest, like Amazon forest and everything. But I don't know, it feels so distant from me. I have nothing to do with it. And I think we would have to have it because it's a great part of Brazil, like a great rainforest. But I guess the beaches here are most representative of our country. Like we have beautiful beaches, and I don't know how to explain, but they're different from the other countries. Like we have so many things in the beach. Like we can go and spend the whole day there. We have like a lot of bars, a lot of little restaurants and everything. They're different from the other beaches I've been to. So I like the beaches here, and I think we have to have our Mardi Gras that we call Carnival, the Carnival here. I think it would be a very good representation of our country as well. I guess that's it.
I gotta say, for a pavilion with a rainforest and beaches and carnival, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yes.
And coxinha and brigadeiro.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, there's just a celebration right there.
It is. Yes. I guess that's it. I don't know. I was thinking about what to talk about my country, and it's very actually embarrassing to talk about those groups because I know I participate in a lot of Facebook groups of American Facebook groups about Disney, and everybody hates Brazil, and it's a shame because they do behave bad. They all the people there, they have their reasons to hate or air quote us, but I hope they don't hate me.
We definitely don't hate you.
No. And I can say I have never had a negative experience with any of the tour groups at all in my experiences in Disney, so I can say that.
You're free from that. Julie, do you have any experience?
Nothing bad, not at all.
Maybe
Oh,
we're
that's
just so much more pleasant than all the other people in Disney, and so
They're excited to be there. We're excited to be there. We
Exactly.
understand.
Yeah.
we get it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's right.
So I have another question to ask based on an answer you had earlier. What you said, Brazil wouldn't be your first choice of country to be added to the World Showcase. What other country, if you could choose, would you want added?
That's a hard one. I like the I don't know, maybe India would be a good one. And it's different because there's nothing like that. That's what I feel. It's not like I don't want Brazil there. It's like all the other countries, they're like similar. They have the same kind of stuff. And like we have the India, for example, would be a very nice one. I think I'd choose this one, and maybe one from Africa. Maybe I wouldn't know how to say which country from Africa.
I feel
But
like an Egyptian pavilion would be really cool because there's
Mhm.
so much history there, and the mummies and the temples and
I have
all
no
of that.
idea
That would
what
be
they
pretty
eat
cool.
in Egypt, for example. I would like to try their food, and I have no idea what typical food they have.
Mhm. Well, I love your answer because that's my answer when everyone asks me what country you would add to the pavilion or what pavilion you would add to the World Showcase, and I also agree, India.
Yeah,
I
we
don't know.
love
We
we
don't
love
have.
Indian food, so
Yeah, we have very, very little a few Indian food here in Brazil. So everything I know from internet. I never tried. I don't know. Maybe I tried 2 or 3 dishes, and I don't know which ones. But I've seen a lot of them, like in the cook television programs and everything. And they seem to be so different and so tasty, and they're I don't know. I really think it would be a very nice adding.
and it would also be really cool because they would have, the Bollywood dancers, and you'd get
Mhm.
a lot of that, beautiful gold and all that ornate
Yeah,
design work that they have and architecture and
it would be a
everything. I think that would be
beautiful.
really
Oh yeah, it would
a
be an
beautiful addition.
absolutely gorgeous pavilion.
All right, so we can go with the India before. We can go first and then leave Brazil for the end
Yeah.
of the line.
We're all agreed on which country needs to be added next.
I would be happy with either of them.
As would I, but we're all agreed.
Right. What about yours, Julie? What would be your choice?
Oh, definitely India. Amy and I have had extensive conversations
Very long
about this.
conversations.
All right, so we're unanimous.
Dear Disney,
Yeah.
add an
Yeah,
Indian
might
pavilion.
send them a letter. Maybe. Who knows?
Excellent. Well, it has been so much fun talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining us on our podcast. It's really awesome to get a perspective from another country and to hear, how you began your Disney adventures when you were young. And it's definitely so much different than how Amy and I discovered Disney, but it all, starts back to the Disney cartoons and
Yeah.
everything like that. So there's definitely that common ground there. So thank you so much.
Thank
And we
you.
will see you in November.
We
Yes.
will. We definitely will. I'm very happy to talk to you girls. I loved it. It was such a pleasure for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening. And just remember, every recipe starts with one little spice.